Hello and welcome to the Mount Rushmore podcast. My name is Jeff, and I'm joined as usual by Trucker Richard. You got your ears on, Trucker Michael?
Tim Moore, good buddy.
Let me check my trucker codes. Trucker code, list of trucker codes. 10-7, out of commission.
Oh, nuts.
No, man. I mean, 410. Oh, shit. Right now, it's 40 love. I'm not doing very well.
Well, we got to brush up on our 10 codes, but we are truckers or truck driving men, or actually saluting truck drivers in general. This episode of Mount Rushmore podcast, Trucker Richard, Trucker Michael are here.
I need a cool... Listen, we need... Hey,
Handles.
Big Daddy, we need a different trucker name.
Rubber Duck, this is Frankenstein. You got your ears on?
Okay, I am Rubber Duck.
Come in, Knight Rider.
Oh, Richard gets to be Knight Rider?
Well, because I have the car.
Oh, okay. Pilates. Come on, Pilates. Worst handle ever. Quilt Maker 25. Quilt Maker 25.
I'm just going to call you Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
From here on out for forever.
This is the Red Baron. So we're talking about truck drivers. The allure of the road has taken to us this summer because we have discussed road trips, and we are now discussing truck drivers, famous ones that are real or fictional or who knows what we'll talk about. This was Richard's choice, so Michael will take to the open road first.
Do you think truckers actually like it when you do like the honking thing?
They must hate it.
They must hate it.
Yeah, because they just got to stop masturbating for a second and hit that horn.
There's no other job, basically, where you have to deal with somebody like mimicking what you do the entire day. It's not like if you work like at a, and you're an accountant, you don't have people just kind of coming by your office going tick, 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 ching all day.
You don't think it's the equivalent of the wedding? It is their wedding, and you were like tapping your glass with a spoon to have them kiss. They would like, is that thing, or is it a tribute to the trucker?
I don't know.
I think it's a tribute. I think it's saying, "Hey, buddy, you're cool."
I bet.
Give me one of those.
I bet it. It's like bringing a baseball glove to a baseball game. If you're a kid, it's okay. If you're a 10-year-old and you're leaning out the window and you're pulling your hand down, and like, I bet the truck driver's like, man, this is gonna make this kid's day. But if you're like a 27-year-old dude, like, fuck that guy.
If I'm a truck driver and the 27-year-old dude does that, I'd say I wouldn't mind if you just pull out your junk and wave it at me. That's what I would say. Or press ham against the window. Just give me something. I'm not gay, but just give me something to wake me up. I want to see eggs and bacon up against the window.
Well, my first choice, you got into it where, like, I think that like a truck driver is generally a pretty lonely job. It's a very isolated thing.
Yeah.
You're out there on your own for long hauls and big stretches.
Yeah.
But my first choice isn't that. It is Bandit Darville from Smokey and the Bandit.
From Georgia to Texas and back in 28 hours flat with a truckload of bootleg beer.
I'll be driving this one. Hey, blocker. You'll be driving the truck. This is Bandit 1, and that is Bandit 2.
Oh, right up.
Where he's kind of like teamed up. He's kind of has his... He's teamed up with his friend to make this big, long cross-country drive to haul Coors.
Of all the things to haul, by the way.
Coors from, Texas to Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And he's part of, like, a group. He's part of... He's not just there on his own. He's there
there's camaraderie.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow, cool.
But he's played by Burt Reynolds in the film Smokey and the Bandit, and he's kind of like the most iconic trucker out there.
Yeah.
He's, I think, the first person I thought of when Richard suggested this topic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is going to be I think we're going to be a little controversial here because it was not on my list.
Yeah.
Even though that may have been one of the first people I thought about when I was coming up with this topic. But Jeff, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
When I say Smokey and the Bandit, what's the first thing you think of?
I think of Burt Reynolds, I guess.
And what do you think of him driving?
I think of a Camaro or something.
Thank you.
Like
It's the Firebird.
The Firebird, yeah.
Right? Or you don't think of him driving a truck. I'm thinking about the movie, and as I was thinking about my choices, I thought I don't picture him behind the wheel of the truck. I picture Jerry Reed.
Yeah.
As Snowball, I think maybe he was.
The Bandit.
Does that sound right?
The Bandit is hired on to run a tractor trailer full of beer over county lines in hot pursuit by a pesky sheriff. So
I mean, he does drive it. I mean, yes,
Yeah.
he does. I mean, I'm not arguing the point that he doesn't, in fact, drive a truck.
Right.
I'm just saying that's not the iconic thing that you remember about Smokey.
That's true.
From Smokey and the Bandit.
Yeah.
You remember the the Trans Am. That's what it was.
Right.
in Gone with the Wind, you don't see the wind till like the last scene.
And then it's just gone.
It's just gone.
No, I guess a point conceded. This is like a Rocky 3 moment. Although I don't know.
That's the central plot line, though, is this thing.
But I'm not arguing I'm not arguing really against your.
Yeah.
I'm just more arguing why I didn't put it on there.
No, that makes sense.
But no, I mean, he was a trucker, and as a truck driver, there are a few that are more iconic.
I guess so.
Than Smokey,
Yeah.
as played by Burt Reynolds' mustache, and also the rest of Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
We let that guy be the biggest star in the movies for like 10 years, and we all agree he's not a very good actor, right? At no point was he a good actor, right? Jeff, help me out here. You're an actor.
These people were celebrities and stars. They just
Right.
like John Wayne before him. He was not a thespian. He was just he embodied a persona that was heroic in stature.
He was basically Joe Namath, except not playing football as well.
Yeah. The trailer shows Burt primarily in the Firebird.
Yeah.
And Jerry in the truck, but I don't know. And Jerry's with a dog in the truck too, so Bert's not even riding shotgun.
It's like a bloodhound, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's a little chihuahua in his purse.
That'd be awesome. It wasn't even that. It was like a kinkajou or something.
Uh-huh.
A cat.
Well, moving past the is he or isn't he a trucker aspect, which I guess we can debate, and I will concede that point to an extent.
He's running
beer from
yeah.
one state to another, and it was interesting.
What a southern thing, by the way.
Looking up why it was. Apparently, it was Coors Banquet. Hold on.
Coors was only available in Colorado at the time, and Hal Needham got wind of the fact that Good Old Boys were importing this so they could have it. And
and I guess like certain transportation laws say that if you're transporting beer, you can't just make a one-time run. It has to be regulated if you're driving beer back and forth. So it's funny thinking that he's just driving beer from one place to another.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
The worst beer there is. Yeah.
I guess the way that it was produced, it was just kind of very local, and you couldn't really get it anyplace else. But you couldn't get it east of the Mississippi.
Yeah, it's supposed to be importing it to like Georgia or something, right? I believe it's Georgia.
Texas. It was from like Texarkana, Texas to Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah. A stuntman thought up this. I read Hal Needham's autobiography. He's a really brilliant guy, but he definitely didn't want to pick a plot that was too big for Burt to handle. So this was...
Is he the Donald Trump of actors?
Yeah.
Let's trim down the plot to 140 characters.
I remember Hal Needham was also the guy that was Burt Reynolds' stuntman for decades, and so whenever Burt got punched, Hal really got punched and fell off.
He's the one. He was the inspiration for Hooper, right?
Yeah, he was the right. I mean, he invented some of these what became standardized car stunts and horse stunts and all these kind of things.
I'd say he's no Dar Williams, but he's still
no Dar
alive,
Williams. So he wasn't.
He's still alive.
He's still alive. No, he passed.
No, Hal Needham.
Hal Needham passed a few.
Well, yeah, he did, but he lived a lot longer than Dar Williams.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's a great first choice because I do think of Burt Reynolds as one of these protean road guys. Whether it's as a stock car racer or a stunt person or something like that.
Stroker Ace.
Yeah.
How did that movie only get a PG rating? How did that happen?
The best post-credit scenes with Jim Nabors trying to improv with Burt Reynolds. Hey, Stroker, why you always got to fill a guy's car up with cement?
I believe that Jim Nabors was actually one of the founders of the Upright Citizens Brigade.
I think he was.
I believe.
Super improv guy.
I guess the 70s were a weird time. I think as we go through the list, a lot of like the picks seem to come out of like this one particular decade.
The 70s
it was the
second
highest. Smokey and the Bandit was the second highest grossing movie to Star Wars in '77.
Holy shit!
The 70s was the decade of truckers.
Yeah,
it's kind of one of the reasons, by the way, I picked this. It's just you don't see media about truckers anymore.
No.
Really. I mean, not in the way that you used to.
If you want to get Coors Light, you just order it from Amazon.
That's
right, yeah.
And then they drop it off via Amazon drone.
Now, I will say, you rarely see movies or films or TV shows about truckers. You almost never see about truckers who have pet orangutans.
Oh, okay.
Which is leading me to my first choice, which is Philo Beddoe, played by Clint Eastwood in Every Which Way But Loose, and also the sequel, Any Which Way But Loose.
Every which way but loose, you turn me. Every which way.
Any which way you can.
Or Any Which Way You Can. Thank you.
Also on my
Also
list.
on your list?
I wish that I could have chosen it because of him, but it was mostly because of Clyde.
So I love this too. And
I like Philo's story as that he came out of the San Fernando Valley too. It felt very much like a hometown boy.
Yeah, he meets the country singer played by Sandra Locke at Palomino Club, which is up in not too far from here, probably at one point. From where we're recording, it's not like you would expect this movie to be playing out like in Texas or Oklahoma or Tucson. No, it's in the San Fernando Valley.
Yeah,
because it was a lot cheaper just to admit that they were filming there versus trying to shoot on location in Tucson or wherever the hell they were doing.
Was this Clint's foray into comedy for this first one? Okay.
Yes, it was, and it was a critical bomb. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was like one of the most mocked movies of the era. Although it did make $85 million on a $5 million budget.
Whoa.
Hence the sequel.
Yeah.
It was, I think, his most successful movie from like a budget to...
Is that right? Wow.
To final box office total.
Yeah.
Which is outstanding. I mean, he's made movies that have made hundreds of millions of dollars, but they've also cost $85 million to make.
For those of you who have not seen the film, allow me to briefly summarize the plot. First off, Philo Beddoe. What the kind of name is that for a Clint Eastwood character? Should it be like Buck, like Buck Johnson or something like that?
It sounds like a pastry recipe ingredient.
Yeah, or Philo Beddoe. It's something you would get like at a Greek restaurant, right? So he's a truck driver living in the valley, but he doesn't seem to get many jobs driving trucks. Mainly, he supplements his income by being a bare-knuckle boxer. Yeah. Like a traveler, like he's from like a gypsy from Ireland or something like that.
That's another big trope in like truck driving movies. They're not just a truck driver. Like truck driving is just what they do to get from
point A to point B.
Point A to point B, but along the way, 8.1 and 8.3, they're fighters. They're doing anything else but truck driving.
Some sort of arm wrestling, perhaps.
Sort of arm wrestling. Mostly bare knuckle boxing and arm wrestling.
Yeah, those are the two things. And he tries to hook up with a country western singer and realizes she's not there the next day. And decides to try and follow her to Denver, where he thinks that she may have gone. Oh, and he has an orangutan.
Yeah.
That's literally the entire plot of the movie.
I can't remember. Do they ever explain why he has Clyde, or is it just like there's his orangutan that just like goes into bars and eats beer cans and
I think it's
almost gets into fights with people and then actually does like punch people out.
Yeah, I don't think it's really like fully explained. It wasn't like Dad was like a famous like zoologist or something.
If it was an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, they would explain that Clyde came from Bromberg. they always have to
explain the accent.
Yeah, Clyde's family moved here when he was like 12.
If this was remade with Arnold Schwarzenegger, it would have been I was a circus performer in Dusseldorf, and
I don't want to talk about it. I left that laugh behind me.
Watch out for the orangutan. And by the way, if a real orangutan got into a bar fight, it would rip people's faces off. This would quickly go from like a dumb comedy like to a graphic horror movie.
Rob Zombie's Any Which Way But Loose is
just blood filled.
Is gruesome.
Well, what was charming about this? I remember seeing it as a kid and thinking it was really charming.
He had an orangutan.
I think it's he is such a tough guy, but there's still this soft spot for this.
Yeah.
For this giant ape that travels with him. That maybe that's the way that you kind of cut the tough guy persona.
Okay.
And I think it's just because it was the first time seeing Clint Eastwood kind of play off of the Dirty Harry type persona.
Yeah.
And use that persona but kind of in the service of someone who by all accounts is kind of a loser. Mm-hmm. And that was I think as a kid my mom was a big Clint Eastwood fan, having watched like Dirty Harry films and things like that, and then seeing this one time like on the independent channel, it was just like, what?
I mean,
I was like 8, and I was like, what is happening here? I watched Knight Rider and Manimal, and I think this is confusing. What is going on?
It also has like a really interesting ending in that I know we just did Mount Rushmore of spoiler alert, but spoiler alert, like he kind of throws the fight at the end against his big like nemesis.
Right.
Like he takes a dive so the guy that he
can retire
retire without having lost, and like he ends up probably the being the better fighter.
Yeah.
But then kind of throws it so the guy can go down with honor, and there's a certain
standard 70s film trope is you win by losing. I feel like
Right.
there's a lot of movies where Al Pacino does something, throws the case in Justice for All, or they do something where...
Was that a reflection of the Vietnam War?
Vietnam, all of this is...
It was a draw, guys, but it was a draw in that case, so we're...
Okay.
And then, of course, in Any Which Way You Can, much like in Rocky 2, where they do the sequel and he winds up winning, in Any Which Way You Can, he winds up having the big fight with the hotshot bare-knuckle fighter who also uses mixed martial arts skills.
Right.
Oh.
And turns out they didn't really want to fight because they respected each other too much, but then decided to fight anyway. And Clint wins despite getting his arm broken.
Uh-huh.
And then they all go to the bar to celebrate.
Oh. That's Every Which Way But Loose.
Or Any Which Way You Can.
Any Which Way You Can, okay.
I don't know about the third one. I don't know if this was a planned trilogy. I do know they announced a remake at the start of this year. So
Scott Eastwood.
That's what somebody said. Is like Scott Eastwood definitely needs to do this.
Yeah.
And
I don't know who
Andy Serkis as the orangutan.
Yeah, I mean Scott Eastwood definitely needs to do this. I don't know who they're going to get to play Philo, but we've got the orangutan nailed down, guys.
I actually like to think that Every Which Way But Loose was the sequel to Midnight Cowboy. Where Eastwood's taking on the John Voight kind of country boy character.
Right.
And obviously Ratso Rizzo has died in the first movie.
And he's come back to life as an orangutan. Some sort of like one of those like reincarnation, heaven can wait sort of deals. So in this scenario is Eddie Rabbit, the new Harry Nilsson.
The new Harrison. Everybody's talking about me. It becomes
It's Every Which Way But
Every
Loose.
Which Way But Loose, the title song. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I love the way this is going. Richard, take us on down the road with
All right. So my next choice is the Unseen Truck Driver from Steven Spielberg's first feature, Duel.
Wow.
A movie that I remember, again, watching as a kid and scared the shit out of me.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I've never seen it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Wow, you really should. It's being somebody who grew up in kind of a more rural area where there's a lot of, and because of agriculture, has had a lot of trucks going past. Just watching this movie that's essentially about Dennis Weaver as a businessman who pisses off this truck driver, and the truck driver decides he's going to get his revenge on this guy no matter what the cost, and like chases him, tries to run him off these mountain roads and into train tracks.
Mm-hmm. It's really touching at the end when the fender glows red and he heals him.
Right.
And he flies off in the air and then there's a rainbow.
And it scared that I think it was the menace of just, they never showed the truck driver other than you saw his cowboy boots. Other than that, you never really saw his face.
Yeah.
Because the windshield was kind of darkened.
It was darkened, and just the way they shot it,
you could only see it from like the.
You could see like silhouette, or you could see the guy who was the truck driver that played the driver. Asked Spielberg what his character's motivation was, and the Spielberg said something like, "Well, you're an evil son of a bitch." The guy's like, "You got the perfect guy for the part." Then it was that idea. So many truck drivers in the 70s were kind of benevolent or kind of outlaws with a heart of gold.
Yeah.
This guy was not.
Yeah.
This was like, the truck driver serial killer.
Yeah.
Type thing.
So much of truckers in the 70s were standing up against the man, and Johnny Law was the one that was kind of the evil presence.
Right.
But this is the guy that was the evil presence within the truck.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like Maximum Overdrive, except less stupid. Where that was designed to make you be really scared of trucks, I think, as well. In that case, driverless trucks. Except it was just a stupid, awful movie with giant, loud AC/DC, blaring.
Yeah.
This, obviously, it's Spielberg. It's incredibly well done. And, it's just this minute. And, of course, Dennis Weaver will get away from him for a bit, stop at like a truck stop. Here comes the truck again. And it's just like this never-ending, recurring menace.
He should do that movie, but then put it in the ocean with a shark. where you don't really see the shark.
How would that work?
Until near the end or halfway through.
Let's
call that movie Truck Shark.
Truck Shark. I believe Sci-Fi Channel is already on that.
Well, we were talking earlier about Every Which Way Baloo.
Every Which Way
with Baloo from the Jungle Book.
Every Which Way Belushi.
Every Way Belushi. And this as being kind of a parallel for Vietnam or something like that. Were we talking about that?
I think it was. It was 71. So it's
71.
right in the middle of this of Vietnam.
Richard Matheson wrote the original short story Duel after an encounter with a tailgating truck on the day that JFK was assassinated.
Yeah. Guess he had nothing better to do that day. Well, I guess guess my work's knocking off that day early, so I might as well.
Yeah.
You know.
So we got JFK.
Are you insinuating that he murdered JFK? Uh-oh.
No, I'm saying a
truck murdered JFK.
A faceless truck driver
murdered JFK.
There were two trucks.
There were two trucks.
Multiple trucks.
Yeah. One was coming off the grassy knoll.
The other was coming off the on-ramp.
I remember the magic bus, but not the magic truck.
Oh, my God. Okay, so that's fascinating. All right. Okay, Duel. That's a great choice.
Honk.
Get off the road.
I like that you're doing this because then I don't have to add in crappy sound effects.
Because I'm making my own crappy sound effects. Hey, we're taking a pit stop in our truck driver episode and imploring you, the audience, to get on the highway of liking us. That's a highway. And go to iTunes and download, rate, and review all our episodes. Go to Stitcher and listen or whatever way you do on Stitcher. And then follow us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and join the community. Get on our CB handle and talk to us.
Yeah, are we on CB yet?
I think we're on Citizens Band Radio. And let us know what your handle is and do you got your ears on. And
Truck number 37, your shower is ready. Truck number 37,
okay, sorry,
your shower is ready.
I gotta go. My shower's ready, so I gotta go get it.
What is happening there?
I gotta get a quick hand job from a Filipino lady.
What is happening there? You stop at the Flying J, if I'm driving back home to see family or something, and you hear that your shower is ready. Who is showering? Is it the truck showering? Is it the person showering?
I think it's the truck. They wouldn't call it out if it was. I think.
But they would just say whatever your number is for the truck. Is it the person needs a shower? And it's like they have showers set up
depends how much
communal.
You pay.
They do have showers in the bathroom. Like you put a quarter in and do the shower thing inside the thing. But if it's the PA, it must be their truck shower. Car wash.
If we have any truckers listening to the podcast, please let us know. Hit us up on Twitter or Facebook or CB Radio.
Yeah, Citizens.
Give us a call out.
We are back, and Michael, take us farther down the road, trucker Michael.
My next choice is Jack Burton in Big Trouble in Little China.
Way to go, Jack.
Jack Burton's coming to rescue your summer.
Hey, what more can a guy ask for?
20th Century Fox presents Kurt Russell in John Carpenter's Big Trouble in Little China.
Jack Burton plays this kind of loner, tough guy character that's making a pit stop in San Francisco and decides to see his good friend and stops in to, deliver some wisdom, maybe do a little bit of gambling. Yeah. His friend can't pay up, though. So he asks him to do one quick job with him, then he'll get him his money. That job is picking up a beautiful, green-eyed Chinese girl, kind of fresh off the boat at the airport. Fresh off the airport. Fresh off the plane. Fop. Who is, of course, immediately abducted by some Chinese gangsters. And Jack is somehow fallen into this world of fighting against swords and sorcery against the evil demigod Lopan. So it's a trucking movie when you're fighting lightning and thunder.
This is John Carpenter mashing up genres and crazy. Yeah,
I love the Jack Burton character because he's kind of like this smart-ass, wise-talking or wise-cracking. He thinks he's in control of the situation, but he never is.
Yeah.
He's not really good in any situation until the very end.
Yeah.
His advice is kind of ham-fisted and stupid, and he gets caught, and all these other guys that are throwing lightning bolts and blowing things up, and he's just kind of this fish out of water.
Yeah.
But then, he ends up saving the day.
Yeah, that seems like the American iconic hero, as we see in some films where they kind of bumble around till they find their way, and they succeed based on their character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what Jack Burton says at a time like this?
Please, let me tell me what.
What the hell? I love Jack Burton too. I love this movie.
I'm amazed that they didn't do like this seems so primed for a sequel.
Or a remake.
No. Like Big Trouble in Fill in the Blank. Like you could have taken this character anywhere.
Oh, I see what you mean. Like in the time.
Yeah, there should have been like a Big Trouble in some other
Koreatown.
I do feel like his role in Death Proof was kind of an extension of that. The more sinister
stuntman
side
Mike.
of it. Yeah.
Was this the movie that really kind of made him an 80s star? Was this like the big one?
Oh, I don't know. Is
this before? The question I'm asking is this before or after or Overboard? That's what I need to know.
Well, he was interesting. He always seemed to have those good like comedic chops. I mean, he did drive the Pork Chop Express.
Yeah, he did.
But he
literal
had those,
chops.
He had those good kind of comedic chops, the same way that what's his name from Die Hard does.
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis. Mm-hmm. They're kind of cut from the same cloth, where they're wisecracking and good looking and can be tough, but can also be funny at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't really translate over with like Stallone's not funny, Schwarzenegger's not funny.
Yeah.
Well, they both think they're funny. That's the problem.
Yeah.
He had done used cars.
He had done
5 years previous.
An
to
Escape
this.
from New York. So
and that got a sequel. I mean, Escape from L.A. is like awful.
It's really bad. Mm-hmm. Did Used Cars get a sequel? Even more used cars. Used cars.
Just called Cars.
Yeah. No, I'm looking at his
oeuvre
IMDb here, and it is. It's like Escape from New York, The Thing. So he's in this Carpenter kind of like world.
Yeah.
Silkwood, which I forgot, and there's like a few other like weird like kind of Best of Times. But it's really this is the movie that kind of made him like an action star. I think even more so than Escape from New York, because that was like an 80, and then he doesn't really get back to like the action Tango and Cash type stuff until like late 80, like late 80s, like Tequila Sunrise, stuff like that. I mean, he was Bruce Willis before there was Bruce Willis in a lot of ways, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what has happened recently in Guardians, where he plays Ego. And they do a little bit of a throwback scene early in this where they de-age him.
Yeah.
I would love to see something like that happen with maybe a prequel or something to Big Trouble or something exciting like that. But
one of the great tropes about truck drivers in movies is usually they're always trying to get back to their truck.
Yeah.
Or they're either trying to rescue their truck or get back to it or get to a bigger truck. And that was one of the things that one of the things in this movie was he's removed from his truck when he goes on this adventure, and then at the very end they're kind of reunited and they make their big escape in it, and and then the giant hairy monster.
It's kind of like a horse and a home in one. So all these previous tropes that involve both of those things kind of combine into that vehicle. So.
Well, I'm still waiting for the Computer that wore tennis shoes sequel.
Yeah.
So we can't get on that, guys. I don't know what you want from this.
Okay, cool. Next choice.
My next choice is Rubber Duck from the song Convoy.
Breaker 19, this here's a Rubber Duck. You got a copy on me, Love Machine? 10-4 Pig Pen. For sure. By golly, it's clean, clear to Taco Town.
All right.
And later from the movie, based on the song Convoy.
And later, my erotic fan fiction.
Based on the movie
and
based on the song Convoy. Convoy, written by
C.W. McCall.
Well, it was C.W. McCall, but he was actually a pseudonym for a guy. I think his name was like Larry Fries. And he was a advertising executive in the Midwest.
Oh.
And he had created C.W. McCall as a character for, I believe it was like a paper towel. A line, I think it was like paper towel ads, where he was like the truck driver that'd come in and like banter with the sassy waitress at the diner.
Wow.
And so that's where the C.W. McCall character came from. And then the song Convoy came along from that.
Wow.
He co-wrote it with a guy who wound up becoming the Mannheim Steamroller guy.
Is that right?
Yeah, the guy who did the music for Convoy wound up becoming the Mannheim Steamroller guy and is like...
No, we're not doing
practically
Mount Rushmore of steamroller drivers.
No, this is truck drivers.
Mannheim, I think that's his name. First name Man, last name Heim.
Cameron Mannheim. Oh, dear.
And it's And so the song was like one of the biggest songs of the 70s, probably.
At least on the top 50 trucker songs of all time, if not number one.
It's got to be number. Maybe there's some Big Dick Dudley songs that are out there, but just was I remember my brother was really into the trucker songs in like the late 70s, early 80s. Like you could get like the K-Tel Best of collection that had this, and like I said, Big Dick Dudley and all those sort of things. And it works because it's such a catchy tune that it just about doesn't have to be a novelty song. Yeah. But then you've got all the Breakers, Rubber Ducky, and Big Band. It's the classic kind of country story song, but even though you're not really sure what the story is. Yeah. They've got a convoy, which is a big line of trucks. Yeah.
Stretching across the USA. Yeah.
And then more people start showing up. And more people.
It's like Hands Across America before there's...
Or Forrest Gump as he's running across the country, except with trucks.
A populist movement of trucks.
Forrest Gump truck. Yeah. And so, I don't know what the hell the song's about. The movie, they kind of tried to figure out what it was about. And made him, like I think as we discussed, like a lone wolf kind of outlaw trucker out to probably truck alcohol or something. God knows what, across country. And winds up getting a convoy of people with him and kind of becomes part of a movement. Mm-hmm. All based off of a C.W. McCall song, Convoy.
Yeah, we a few weeks ago we examined surf songs, and I think it's fascinating that the probably many fewer people ever drove a big rig truck than even got on a surfboard.
Oh, sure.
Yet there's so much allure to the stories of these individuals who are moving these surfboards or trucks around. They're romanticized. Their motives are ballads being sung about what they're doing and why they're doing it.
When they really have kind of dirty, nasty kind of lives. Yeah. And no offense to truck drivers, but just the life you have to live. And I know some truck drivers. You're in the cab for 18 hours a day, and it's not fun. There's nothing romantic about it. Yeah. But
the only thing you have is bare knuckle boxing.
That's right.
And orangutans.
Yeah. And having fun, call signs. Fun little names.
Yeah. That's a big part of it was the fact that in the 70s, CB radios became something that people who weren't truck drivers decided to get. So you could just dial in and hear these truck drivers with this kind of like weird banter and portmanteaus and all this like stuff that was
the first version of an international network before we all had email addresses or avatars. These guys were doing this thing where
they're the Morse code assholes. But
the first Usenet users.
The first Usenet, the first chat rooms.
And part of this, the song came out in 75, and part of the whole issue is truck drivers were really being hit hard because there's a 55 mile per hour speed limit.
Fuel prices.
That was part of the oil crisis, and then there were other things that were happening. Yeah. So that was also part of it. Is again that kind of rebel sort of outlaw persona.
Yeah. I feel like bikers and truckers each had those songs. Like Born to Be Wild kind of felt like that was like the thing.
But often in these movies, songs, whatever, the bikers and the truckers are the ones who are like feuding. I know that's a plot point from Every Which Way But Loose.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it.
Black Widows.
Yeah, that's it.
And who also make an appearance in the sequel.
Oh.
And there's several movies where the biker gang is like the bad guys to the truckers. Yeah. I think there's some sort of like parallel between them, but also the truck drivers they're doing a job. They got this, they got to haul this, they're doing something, versus the bikers are on the same roads, but they're just out there to be menaces.
Yeah. Michael, what's your next choice?
My next choice is Large Marge.
Also my final choice.
Oh, good. From Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
And when they finally pulled the driver's body from the twisted, burning wreck, it looked like this.
Yeah.
Played by Alice Nunn, who, in the entire scene that she's in, the entire story she tells about the big rig going over the edge of the cliff doesn't blink once.
Oh, wow.
Really?
In Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Pee-wee is hitchhiking his way at some point from Los Angeles to the Alamo, And after his car goes off the road, is it the car goes off the road? Yeah, him and whoever the guy that broke out of prison.
Yeah.
He kind of he gets picked up along the highway.
Yeah.
He gets picked up by this truck driving lady who's just gruesome. She's gruesome before she's revealed to be even more gruesome.
Yeah.
And she tells him the story of this truck that goes off the side of the road that happened 10 years ago on this very night. Very ghost story-like. And then she looks at him and pulls off her face in the most Tim Burton-y type way. Her eyeballs bulge out, and it's probably,
She becomes quickly a claymation character, too, right? Doesn't she?
Basically, yeah.
He then, she drops him off at, like, the next, gas station or the next kind of a restaurant. And he tells a story that she tells him to tell him that Large Marge sent him, and then he mentions that, and they all drop their forks.
Yeah.
Like, it was a night just like this. What a classic scene.
Yeah.
From a classic
It's
movie.
like you almost make it through that movie without something scaring the crap out of you. And then you remember, oh, it's a Tim Burton movie. That's the thing that's going to give me nightmares as a 9-year-old. Cool.
Is that what you liked about it? That there was a bit of kind of gothic, sinister Tim Burton comedy within a romp?
Yeah, and that's, kind of the introduction to the Tim Burton world of bright colors, dark colors, lots of very, loud, quiet, loud. It's almost the Pixies of filmmaking, the loud, quiet, loud sort of thing.
Yeah.
I guess her story was based on another Trucker song, Phantom 309, which was about like this kind of ghost that picks someone up and every 10 years, or this ghost trucker makes an appearance every 10 years. And it's not quite verbatim, but like the theme is very similar. That he just basically stole or.
It's a very common thing with people of our rough age to have had this shit scared out of them.
Yeah.
By Large Marge. Tell Large Marge. So it's definitely a bonding thing. It's she is the only female trucker. Even though Clyde may have actually been played by a female, I would imagine. Most of the time the apes and gorillas and stuff are played by females. They're easier to train. I don't know if Large Marge was picked because she was easier to train.
None.
Easier to train. Wouldn't play with herself. Yeah.
So is that all our choices?
That's it.
I guess that's all it is. That's just really exciting. So it was really fun. It was fun to see the different directions you guys went on the map, and I thought it was interesting. You both had two choices, and also you kind of both had some very distinct moments and you chose some scary moments. So, Michael, within the realm of Big Trouble in Little China, there's a lot of actually kind of mystery and supernatural things happening, and then Large Marge's appearance in Duel. I'm sorry. And then in Duel.
Wait, Large Marge was the driver in Duel?
That makes sense.
Yeah, it checks out, guys.
And then, Richard, you went there with your truck driver from Duel. So there was some menace in this genre, too. And then there are also some very colorful things. Of course, Clint Eastwood and an orangutan, or the Convoy song. And it's the way it kind of popularized amongst Americans and people around there, the role of the truck driver. So that was a real fun discussion. So you know what? I think I'd like to give you each a point for... So we'll give you each half a point for the things that you chose together. That would be Phil Beddoe from Every Which Way But Loose.
Why wasn't his name Phil Beddoe? That's comedy right there.
See, I already think that's a very French idea. He's a man who drives a truck with an ape. There is something very poetic about it. It seems like a Jerry Lewis movie.
I was going to say that's Jerry Lewis movie. Let's get this happening, guys.
Let's rewrite. And then Large Marge, you both picked that. So each half a point, which ends up for 1 point. And then I liked where you were going, Richard, with Rubber Duck, the song from Convoy. You had a lot of background to that and let us know that this was an ad agent who's actually kind of creating this story for us. And Richard, I'm going to give you another point for the truck driver from Duel. I thought that was a fun grab there, and even though I hadn't seen it, it felt like you were kind of acting it out for me.
If you'd like to, I can try to run you off the road later if you'd like, right here on Cahuenga.
Yeah, that sounds good.
drive you in the Universal lot. Yeah.
So this has been the Mount Rushmore podcast. I have always been Trucker Jeff,
and I'm Rubber Ducky.
Oh, I thought I was Rubber Ducky.
Every which way but loose, you turn me.